Hey there, Shopomaniacs. You are listening to another episode of the Shop Talk Show podcast, all about front-end web design, development, everything like that. With me is Chris Coyier. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing? We actually have another special guest, a longtime friend of the show, friend in real life, Andy Bell. How you doing, Andy? Good to have you on.
Yeah, good to have you here again. It's good.
Yeah, funny. It's just it's fun to watch Andy's story evolve. You got into studio work and client work. Who knows? A long time ago now, but run a studio called Set Studio, literally set.studio. Killer URL. Can't forget it.
Killer price tag.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I heard the fonts weren't cheap either.
Is it one of those domains where it's like $9 the first year and $199 the next year?
I have to remortgage every year to renew it.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, well.
We have to make a little case internally for pen.new every year because I feel like we have all kinds of dumb expenses at CodePen, but it's my pet one, like I like that URL and I see it enough because I'm like, I'm a little more, I'm a man of the community,
I use it all the time, Chris.
Yeah, see, there you go. I'm going to cut out that clip. It's just for you. I'm like, I will put this on my fucking personal credit card if I have to, but we are
I
keeping
almost
it.
don't know how to make a pen beyond pen.new now that I've learned pen.new.
My sound bites longer now.
Yeah, even your spreadsheet, sheets.new, they're so useful, those domains.
We had some people in the Discord like brainstorming what else we could do with it. And I was like, you need to simmer down because we're not the fastest at shipping shit. But it was like pen.new / and then like any string. And they're like, if you're logged in, it will fuzzy search your pens to find the closest matching pen and make a template from that to use, so you could just be like, pen.new / D3 and it would find like your best D3 pen and then start the new pen from that. Actually, it's like an amazing idea, but
kind of like mdn.io / whatever MDN thing you're looking for.
Are you blowing minds right now, Dave?
Have you not used that?
Do that?
Yeah, you go mdn.io / whatever observer or what's the one I don't remember? Intersection observer, and it'll just pull up, take you straight to the docs.
It looks like it does a hop on DuckDuckGo too. So DuckDuckGo must have some kind of I'm feeling lucky thing. It just plucks the first result off.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. What a clever idea. It means they didn't even have to do any work.
Yeah.
It just
the one time a year I use client bounding rec because I can't remember how to write it. I can use it for that then.
Yeah. Is it window? Yeah. Is it element? You don't know until you search for it.
Yeah. I was like,
the words.
Insert adjacent HTML is a good. I really like that API, but it has there's 9 things. It's insert. Is it before, end, after, begin? What they're named well. There's too many of them to remember. All right. Well, we got Andy on. We should talk about the internet or something. Well, I mentioned Set Studio. Let's look at it. Oh, you YouTuber people, listeners, are really going to have a treat here because you're going to see something that isn't just Dave and I's faces for the first time ever, maybe. But, of course, we'll make this audio friendly as well somehow.
Live alt text. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am ChatGPT. I will describe the website. There is a cat licking its hand. There's not a cat licking its hand. That was a GPT joke.
Look at it. Let's say, Dave, what do you think what this font is and what did it cost?
Well, I feel like it's I feel like it's like a Atkins's Grotesque or something.
Ooh, God, you're good at this.
Is gonna cost me $2.99 in the web font store.
Yeah, I bet you wish it was variable, but it isn't.
Yeah, we have
a
real problem with fonts in Set Studio where we just buy really expensive ones all the time, but it just makes a difference. Yeah, Haffer XF, XH even.
Mm-hmm. Haffer is it for the people listening at home? 3
Haffer,
families.
Yeah,
it's a good looking font.
What is variable? Oh my god!
Variable, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I've never seen this before.
It's a got a good 3 in there. What's
See
the
what I do
weird
here?
character? I need the
Saved forever.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that in Arc. Use the old.
Yeah, unfortunately, I could put it up. I put it up here, but I like the key command better. Notion Web Clipper is what I just used there at People.
Yeah, I use that for the newsletter. Yeah, it's handy.
Ooh, complete collection. Dave wasn't too far off, but if you just got the really black one, I guess it's a little cheaper,
Yeah,
Still,
but then you've got to get web and desktop as well, and that's how they get you.
They get you on page views or something too. They probably do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Always.
That really ranks things up.
Not needed. That's good.
I don't want to mess things up too much here, but
Yeah,
Chris,
go
you
ahead.
are kind of showing like admin URLs for CodePen in your
I don't
sidebar.
care. What do you want to see? Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Look,
wanna
here's
make
me
sure. We
playing
can cut
with
this
Bolt
part out.
too. Oh my God, is
Oh.
he stealing technology from Bolt? No, I'm using Bolt because it's super cool.
Okay.
If you used it, it's
Copy
amazing.
paste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure we weren't leaking secrets that's going
Oh,
around.
What is it though? Yeah, we use GraphQL. You like that?
Yeah.
You have
a lot
a
of
production
staging
and a
environment.
dev server. Interesting.
Yes, and I renamed my tabs in Arc because renaming your tabs is an excellent feature that all browsers
What
should
keeps me on
offer.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried all the others and can't rename those tabs.
Ooh, did you see that animation? Oh my gosh.
So Set, y'all are, I feel like a very high-end design, but also like your whole thing, I feel like, is designing with the browser instead of like shoehorning your design into the browser. So, and you always come up with these really, just sort of, for lack of a better term, native looking designs, right? Like designs that just kind of look and feel good on the web. Is that just you, or is that your whole team that knows this process, or how does that work?
I've successfully fully radicalized everyone in the agency to be obsessed with, fluid scales and, layouts that work. Just you give it some hints and you say, look, I want you to do this, but if you can't do that, here's your bounds, like the whole every layout thing. And like, we're all completely and utterly obsessed with that. And it means like the stuff we build like works with the browser rather than like you said, Dave, like fighting the browser. Like been there, done that, built some real shit UIs with that. Sorry, Chris Enns, you might have to mute that one. The whole like premise like of that flexible layout systems and stuff, it comes from pure trauma, right?
Yeah.
Sure, CSS is super powerful now, but nothing's as powerful as letting the browser do its thing. So it works well, and you can make things look nice while you're doing that too. Like it's not really a trade-off, but yeah, we don't deliver like Figma comps. We deliver front ends. So
Wow.
Yeah.
There's do they know that? I'm sure they do, but it is funny I wonder if that's an expectation. I've never really done client work, so I don't know. But is there like where's our Figma?
Sort of like, so we've been trying new ways of doing things for the last couple of years, and what we've settled on is we don't send clients Figmas anymore. We like no design goes out to a client, so we obviously do creative in Figma, but none of that goes to the client. Like it goes in looms, and everything has to be sort of with an explanation, and because ultimately what we're trying to do is maintain control of the project at all times, right? So we're never asking permission. We do a long discovery process, so like we know what we're doing and we know what we want to do. So it's more like this is the direction we're going, unless fundamentally disagree with what we're doing, and it works really well for that. And then the only time they're physically like at tangible assets, it's in a browser. And
that's awesome.
The design changes a lot in the browser too, because things feel like a good idea in Figma, and then you get it in the browser and it doesn't feel so good anymore. Like for example, on this Set site, that reel of client stuff, that was going to be a bento grid originally. So original creative had that, but then it just didn't feel good in the browser, and we couldn't do it without writing like a really specific layout. And I was like, well, let's think of something different then, because we don't want this everything else like snapping and naturally, and then suddenly this layout's just going up at breakpoints. So Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of stuff happens in the browser, in creative too. So like prototyping and stuff to get it to where we are now.
There's stuff like you just can't do this in Figma. I mean, you could just like make a note and says this thing should be position sticky, but like that's not very satisfying. I feel like nobody uses position sticky like that specifically is so nice, and it's so web specific that it feels like you're whatever eating your own cereal or.
You could do a weak impression of it in Figma, but like. Our attitude of Figma is like, it's just a picture of our website.
Or scroll snapping like this. Well, how are you going to do that in Figma?
Yeah,
no, you just
without spending hours prototype, like you just communicate with each other instead and be like, yeah, let's make this snap.
I feel like it would be hard to get into a position where you have a horizontal scroll, like in a Figma where you're like, okay, got this column and I'm filling it out, and then this is just going to shoot off, and then I'm going to draw a little scroll bar because that's cool, like no one would, but like in the browser, you're like, dude, this should probably just be a scroll bar. Okay, done, and like the decision tree makes itself sort of, I don't know, like, yeah.
We're lucky though, like we've, there's 4 of us and like Jason, who like leads our creative, like he's super clued into the web. He writes pretty good CSS, and so like he comes at things like really creatively, but also like web first. Like it's always in his mind, and then obviously the rest of us are super web first as well. So it really does need that to do like what we're doing. I think if we brought another creative designer in, we'd have to sort of train them up on the web first, so they really understand what are the bounds of the web and what can it do, which is loads. So we're not really limited now like we used to be in the bad old days.
Well, it's Set Studio's the studio, and Piccalilli is an educational arm that it looks like you kind of tied them together.
Linked them up. Yeah, so like I guess from a business perspective, Set Studio's the company and Piccalilli is part of that company. But yeah, this thing.
So what's Piccalilli?
I guess it's a tech publisher now. It started off as my little blog years ago, and now it's sort of evolved. We made that conscious decision last year to de-andify the Piccalilli site as much as possible, and
Operation De-Andify.
Get this guy off of here. Yeah, and it was like huge branding job and a huge redesign and replatforming. Like we did the whole kit and caboodle on it, and now
Astro clearly.
It's built with Astro now. It was on 11T before. We needed Astro because we do the courses on there, so we need that sort of server side stuff for that sort of business,
like auth and stuff.
Yeah, it's got all the auth system in there, payments, the whole shebang, and then so we needed that system. So we had a choice really. It was like, do we do it with like Next.js or Astro? And like, I don't want a gigabyte of JavaScript going down the pipe, so it was Astro all the way. And we're really happy with that decision. Yeah. It's a really easy to maintain code base now. There you are, Chris. Yeah. So it was a huge job, but like now we're cooking.
Yeah. And so you're on like the same URL that serves like a blog post or whatever is the same URL that you log into and watch your course on and everything. Yeah. Okay.
It's all under one roof, but the whole thing's themable, right? So like, that look and feel that we're looking at now with like the serifs and the big old nice headings, that's all custom property controlled. So nearly every property is looking for one property and then it's falling back to another. So the idea is, so we're doing like 2 courses this year for other authors, and we can implement like a custom brand for that course across the whole board for them, and it's still all on the same infrastructure,
which means different type, different colors, everything
you can see, you can change. which is going to be really useful because, like one of them is going to be a video course. So we can sort of pair back the UI for that one. And then there's a written course that will probably inherit quite a lot of what's already there, but you can change everything on there. Right now, the only thing that's using that system is dark mode, but like the whole system's ready to be overridden. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like it'd be probably pretty satisfying to use. You did a lot of work here to get all these kind of things ready. It's interesting the double fallback thing too, that you made that kind of that's always how you work. Like it has a specific name, but then, you can set it or not.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's happy to fall back to something that definitely will be set.
Yeah. It's like the whole semantic design token thing, right? You got your core design tokens, like, color dark, color primary, and then the semantic design tokens like, button background or button color. And that's what the theme changes, is those semantic design tokens. And then, so like almost everything is looking for them. There's a few points where like we're doing direct design token onto the element, but very, very few. And
it probably takes some discipline to do that. Like I'm not even going to set this, but I'm going to put it there because we do it for everything else too. And then if somebody wants to override it, they can.
Yeah, it's a slower build for sure. But then you've got to think of like, we're always looking like well further down the road than we need to look when we're doing these things. So we work in these smaller iterations, but like we knew what was coming down the line. We knew we were going to do my course last year, but then we knew, well, that's just laying the cow path for future courses for other authors. And so we knew we'd want to implement branding. So it was like, well, we're just going to have to build the whole thing to be customizable. And then when we come to do that stuff, we'll be patting ourselves on the back that we're not having to write like, course name.css and like hacking loads of specific CSS in there. Like we can change a few custom props and bish bash, off we go.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, a little more sane override system. Fair enough.
Yeah. Means if we redesign the site as well in the future, which I hope we don't, because god damn, it's a lot of work. But it'd be a case of changing custom properties. Like that was the whole idea. Like give the platform as much health as possible up front. Because the old Piccalilli site was just the worst code base ever because I wrote it. So it was like, and it was a side project, right? So I just used to like crap a load of CSS in there and then move on to something else. And so it was real ugly by the end. So that was that decision to re-platform. It was like, we need a clean break. If we want to evolve this thing and grow it, we need a clean break. And then we've got a good foundation to work from them. And it's paid off big time.
That's nice. It almost makes me feel like that is so much heavy lifting that you could do like almost the easier thing and layer it down too. Like you already have this, and then you could just wrap a layer around each component and be like, it's a component dot header too. And then it's like soup, whatever that is, like ultra low specificity. I guess it's not even specificity with layers, right? It's like literally a different layer, and then then it's like the easiest thing in the world to override.
Yeah. And the beauty of the custom property separate is flat, isn't it? So it's completely flat. And because none of them are defined a lot of the time, it's like as soon as you define one of them, no matter where you are in the cascade, it's going to be like, oh yeah, I know that now, and work. Yeah. So
Was it weird, like opening up your project, like your thing to like other people? Was that?
Yeah.
Did you have to like break up with it a bit, or how was it?
I had to learn a lot, Dave. I had to learn a lot of like how not to be a control freak over the last few years. Like both with the studio and the Piccalilli, like the studio evolved from my freelance business and then turned into an agency. And then Piccalilli evolved from my blog to publisher. And letting go of it is real hard. But then like everyone at Set Studio is better than me. So like on that front, it's easy, you know. Like I want this done properly. Okay, I'll get Leanne to code it because she's good. Yeah, and Jeb's
I
good at
deal
design.
with the customers.
Yeah, that's it. I just exactly that, Chris. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on the front line. Well, no, we've got someone else on the front line. I've got Vicky on the front line. I'm on second on the front line. So
Yeah, nice.
the rule is now is if you speak to me in a project, you're in trouble. For clients, yeah, works well. Yeah,
Nice.
You're bad cop in the
very
client,
bad cop.
client agency relationship. I think everyone, you need that, man. You need somebody who...
Oh, you know all too well, don't you, Dave? Yeah, you need some bad cop in the agency.
Yeah. You need a decision maker on the client side, like somebody who has ultimate power.
Yeah.
And you need access to them. Not, they can't be like 5 chains away, you know.
Yeah.
But then you need somebody who also on the agency side who is like not afraid to be the bad guy in certain situations. So
we've got a nice balance because we've got Vicky and she's nice, like really nice, and then you've got me who's not so nice. But like
you're just British. It's don't talk yourself down. It's cultural.
Just, yeah. If you need something, if something needs to move, then you deploy me like an attack dog, but then it's like, oh, like the client needs a belly tickle. Go on, you go and talk to him, Vic, and it works really well. When you work like that, but yeah, they definitely need a bit of fear in them, or they just take the mick and ruin the project, right? If you let the client do exactly what they initially thought they wanted to do, you're going to get a bad website, because you know, like you're the pros, not them. So you've got to get that relationship like from day one, you know, and then it works really well. If they give you control, then you get a good website at the end. If you end up being human paintbrushes, you get bad website. And you know, I've been doing this over 15 years, and that rule's never changed, right? So there's that old game, isn't there? Yeah, you know, we build it, or you watch us build it, and the price goes up, and then
if you want to help, it's even more expensive. Yeah.
Nothing worse. Nothing worse. Yeah. Oh, we've got an internal team. That's cool. Yeah. All right. We'll hand over at the end then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tripled the price. Beautiful. No, I think it was, you know, we always had a saying, let the Wookiee win at Paravel. And, you know, it's from that scene in Star Wars where Han Solo or, you know, Luke is playing Chewie and whatever hologram chess. And he's just like, hey, kid, let the Wookiee win, you know, or whatever. And we just kind of glommed onto that because, you know, sometimes the organization or there's a person who just won't change their mind, and you know, like you can spend 9 months battling that person or let them make the decision and then you have to fix it later when it nosedives or what, you know.
That's where the decision log comes in, Dave.
Like
a read-only table.
Tell me about this.
So we only roll it out for like reasonably problematic clients. Obviously, we don't tell them they're problematic. We just suddenly decision.
Well, now they know.
Here.
But
yeah. They're like listening and going, "Wait a minute, we had a decision.
We had a decision log. We loved it."
It depends. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean the client's an arsehole. A lot of the time, it's like you said, Dave, where there's lots of decision makers in the team, right, and on the organization team, and they're not very good at communicating with each other. So the decision log is only we can edit it in the studio, and every time a decision made is we make a log of it. Who made the decision, what the decision is, any details of it, what time, what date.
Oh.
And then when that inevitably changes, it gives you grounds to be able to say, well, we're going to have to send you another SOW because, you know, you made this decision back in April 2024 and now you're going against your own decision that's now been logged. So we need to increase the budget. And it nothing scares people more than seeing their name on a ratified list as well, and it tends to make them behave more, and it tends to make them think more as well before they decide on things. So it's very subtle, but yeah, if you're working in client services, and it's a pro tip, I might have to blog about it one day because it works. and it works really, really well.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, especially if it seems like it would accountability and everybody has access to the document or whatever.
No one
Our little like micro version of it at CodePen is there's always like there tends to be like bulleted lists of stuff and tickets and notes and meeting notes and stuff. And if it's phrased like a question or something, often somebody will like hit return tab, which just like tabs in a bullet, and then it's like square bracket capital answer or decision square bracket, and then it says what the answer is. What's nice is that because it's Notion, which is I know we're all very 50-50 on lately for various reasons. It will be in the change log, so it will show you who changed it and when and all that. So you don't necessarily need to like hand type out the date or anything. But I do find that pretty useful. Not to point at somebody's face, but almost to come back to and be like, that was decided. So that's how we're going to do it, because it says so right here in this document.
Yeah. Like, unless you have a brilliant argument to overturn this decision.
Right.
Like,
which is also fine.
Which is I'm into. If there's a better thing, like, but it needs to be like everyone's looking at it saying that is better. Like, like, yeah. I had that situation recently. I like this decision log thing. We've been talking on the show a lot about like having a why column in the database. Just like, why do you do this? Or why does this post exist?
Works and even less good for deleting rows, but
yeah. Why do we delete this row? Well, it doesn't exist anymore. I have like, I'm setting up an Obsidian. I think like I told y'all, and then kind of starting to port all my Notion junk to.
So what even is it? Like I think of it as just like a little, like a folder full of markdown files with some extra UI on it. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
That's how I use it. Yeah. I don't really do much of the extension stuff. It's just let them
there's this sort of like, I don't know. What would you call it? It's sort of like a hypertext feature where anything can link to anything. That's like not new to us. But this idea of like, this on this site, it says writing is telepathy, and anytime you say telepathy, you can link that to a tag, and then now you click that tag, and then now you're in you can view any post or anything you've ever written that has the tag telepathy. So it's kind of like a hypertext.
Does that
in
click
like
for you? Do you have to put a little tag thingy before it?
I don't, but if you're linking documents or like, it's I'm not there yet because I'm really kind of just getting into it. But stuff like I do, prototypes, right? I talk a lot about that. I collect a lot of links about it. I read a lot of books about it. Like if I could just kind of dump all this stuff, and then like anytime I'm thinking about prototyping, I'm like, click a link, and now I have everything I've ever thought about prototyping in one big bucket. That's kind of cool.
Assuming you write down your thoughts like that. I feel like I don't have that many like private notes. I write.
Well, and that's just it. It's like I went through all my private notes, and for a lot of them, I'm like, why does this exist? So I made a little why call out in each of these posts. Like, why did I make this? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Now I remember.
That's a good idea.
Oh, you did it. I love that. Okay, so you're on the, you're all in? Are you like Obsidian's the way to go for me for this stuff?
Yeah, I'm not. Andy has been on it longer, but one thing I don't like, I'll give you a like and a don't like. I don't like the editing experience. It's this weird Markdown plus scripting, and then like you'll open a document, and sometimes it's in like the reader mode where you're reading a preview, like a Markdown file,
Which
like
means
a rendered
you can't
Markdown.
edit it.
You can't edit it, so then you edit it. But then sometimes you're in this mode where it looks like Markdown, but you click on like a live preview, and you click on things, and now you're editing it, and now it looks like Markdown, and that's finicky to me. So that's like my biggest challenge right now. Other than that, and the UI is just a little bring your own.
Yeah.
But it is fully themable with CSS and all this stuff, and lots of amazing themes and all that. I think what's cool about it is sort of just, it's a folder full of markdown files. You're never going to beat that. Like
On your computer too, right?
Yes.
on my computer, but I pay $4, $4 American to sync it
Yeah.
to the cloud, where Notion was like actually raising the cost on me from like $8 to $12. So I have parlayed that cost and 50% cost increase to a 50% cost savings. So
I see. And that's
It's,
otherwise. What? How do you? I'm looking at the homepage, and they have a Mac app and an iOS app here. Is $4 the only way those two things are going to coexist nicely, or could you just throw them in a Dropbox or something?
I do it with iCloud. So I used to do the sync thing that Dave is using. But I found it's not that good at keeping things in track. It's the same with iCloud as well. I think it's the thing that sort of frustrates me about Obsidian. Like, I've got a rule of thumb with Obsidian. It's Obsidian for me and Notion for thee. Like, anything that requires any level of collaboration is Notion straight up. Like
Okay.
everything that we do is in Notion in the studio. But like for me, like article ideas and just lists. I write a lot of lists. Or like any ideas that I'm sort of forming. But I
Yeah.
also do stuff like the gym. Like I keep track of like what weights I've got for particular bits and pieces, and
Yeah.
the network gets a bit spotty in there, so like it won't sync properly sometimes, and then so it's cool. I like the concept. I like the fact that I own all my stuff. Like that's a big deal
Right.
for me. My trust levels in Notion have sort of degraded somewhat over the last few years. I mean, Chris, I'm a super fan of Notion and have been for a long time, but it's definitely degraded weirdly ever since they started introducing AI. Who'd have thunk it? But it's yeah, I don't know. Like obviously, there's just no other option for us in terms of like the projects we do. But I could never use Obsidian for anything other than what I use it for, to be honest. I have similar frustrations that Dave has with like the editing experience. I know there's that weird view that's
Tricky.
like editable preview, but it feels a lot like a WYSIWYG editor from an old CMS to me. And
yeah,
I just like writing Markdown. So
and I will say too, a lot of the functionality is brought in through plugins, like both
Yeah.
first party and community. So, but what's weird is under the hood, it's all just YAML front matter to run these plugins, basically. But what is, I think like there's thousands of 2,300 different plugins, but you sort of get a smell of like WordPress plugin vibes, like everyone did it different, so here we go. Like this plugin's view is going to look different than this plugin's view. My only critique there would be it'd be cool if the Obsidian design system gave a few more primitives for like plugin developers to hook into, but no, that's my
I
like.
can't believe Notion never did. Like they've got this whole
Right.
system, and I can't believe they never like. Oh, by the way, you can create an extension for Notion. Like, I can't believe they never did that. But
Yeah, I don't know. Now seeing this, it does seem like, oh, geez, yeah, clearly. But part of that, I would think part of some of that excess is just how opinionated Notion is. That like there can't be a bad-looking Notion document because they've limited it so far, and you can't open a Notion document. I mean, I guess you can open one that you can't edit.
yeah,
But if I don't know if I've ever done that because I only just use it for my own crap. It's like if you can see it, you can edit it.
And
Interesting.
Notion's good, like for client stuff, and just like us in general. Like, it's never going to be like Jira, right? Or other project management tool name, but like it gets you far enough. And the fact that like, oh, I've recorded a quick loom, I'm just going to paste it, and boop, it's embedded. And I'm going to paste a link to Figma, boop, it's embedded. And it's like everything just works like naturally, and there's like very little friction. And clients pick it up so quick as well, all the time. If you give them some sort of guidelines on stuff, and yeah, it works good. I hope it gets a bit faster. It's gone slow again recently. So
I'm not gonna say. Can't comment. Don't want to. We all know the problem. We're just not saying it.
yeah, I'll say it, Dave. It's the AI bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that little guy. It's like Clippy.
You can turn him off, by the way. Yeah.
I call him Churny because he's like actively driving churn.
I've got another name for him, but I can't say it on a podcast. Yeah. But I emailed support and I was like, just turn it off, man. Like, I don't want it.
Well,
it did, so it worked. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of my there's just no way to stop it. They're all it's like it's every block you start is like use AI. It's like no, I don't. And then if I try to use AI, it's like you're out of AI credits. It's like yeah, I know. I tried it 10 times and I'm done. So Notion's been fun. Yeah, there's Churney. He's on the screen there. He's a little face.
Good name for it, though.
Yeah. At least it's not a what's a Sparkles? Was that the official icon of AI?
Yeah, Sparkles.
Yeah, I've heard up and down about it. I somehow don't hate it. I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes it's an icon becomes a thing. It's just I don't know. I don't have a big problem with it. I keep looking at this word telepathy. This dude told me to listen to this. The telepathy tapes.
Oh, I'm almost done with the first season.
Are you almost done with it?
Yeah.
For me, it went from like I was highly skeptical of it to oh my god, telepathy is real. To at the end, I'm like, all right, I'm skeptical again.
Yeah, that it takes you on this arc, and then they're like, oh, by the way, sorry, I guess for those who haven't listened to telepathy tapes, the premise is nonverbal people, like people with autism, also have the ability to communicate telepathically.
Yeah, like all of them.
Like all of them, and they all meet on this hill where they also talk to each other across continents or what.
Totally. You wake up, go to school, come home, lay on your bed, put a pillow on your head, and just go hang out with your friends in the telepathic zone, the hill. Which, Dave, would be a killer TV show, wouldn't it? Just call it
cool.
The Hill.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's cool. I think that's cool, and I guess there is a phenomenon where people are reporting this similar experience, and so as all good podcasts, investigating a phenomenon, you know what I mean? And they run tests on folks and stuff like that to see if they can read minds and stuff. Anyway, I'll let you listen to it, but I think where it starts breaking down for me is, around the 7th episode, they're like, oh, they also talk to God and are
Dave, is the same thing for me.
And do telekinesis.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, they can move objects?
Yeah.
This is like,
And there's angels and demons, and that's probably what some people think of aliens. And you're like, it just became this grab bag of paranormal stuff at the end. And you're like, what are you doing? You have a couple of people here who have 100% hit rate on telepathy stuff. Like, I'm going to write down a word and only I can see it. And they're just like giraffe. They without failure, they can do it. You just did it. You proved telepathy. And then you're like, well, now let's go off the rails. You're like, don't go off the rails. You've got it right here in your hand.
Wait. Yeah. I was a believer in episode 6, but episode 7.
Yeah. It doesn't get any
threw
better
me off
either.
the cliff. Yeah. So,
oh well. Telepathy has nothing to do with Obsidian. Sorry for the detour there. Need to do it. So what else are you excited about, Andy? Like you got Piccalilli courses coming, or just web stuff generally. It's kind of an interesting time to run a publication about the web. A lot of stuff happening.
It's a lot of stuff to write about. I mean, I've been on a bit of a slump. So I did that course last year. It's like 55 lessons.
Complete CSS available.
That's the one. Yeah. And it was a slog. It was a huge course. But it was something that I'd had in my brain for a long time. You can write good CSS and you can learn loads of syntax to do that. And I'm going to teach you that stuff. But also, I'm also going to teach you how to talk to each other and how to plan things properly and how to do all the work before you write CSS. That means the CSS you write is really nice and simple. And it's like working with designers and taking a first creative concept and finding flaws in it and feeding that back. And the end result is you still maintain the creative, but you get something that's actually like much better to build for the web. And so I really wanted to get that stuff down and out of my head. So sort of committed to doing that last year. But there was my course was a test bed for what we actually really want to do on Piccalilli, which is publish other people's courses. So we've got two coming this year. Got Matt Marquis, a friend of the
Wizard Staff himself.
What is he gonna do though? It's a wild card. What he's gonna do?
A Mega Man course. No, he's going to do a JavaScript course that we just decided on a name yesterday. JavaScript for everyone. Yeah.
Because he has that, a book apart rip. He had that kind of intro to JavaScript book there.
I really like how Matt writes about JavaScript. Yeah, he's so pragmatic about it. And like, that's what you need, right? If you want to learn a language, sort of that pragmatism. So that's going to be really good. So that'll be a mostly written course. But then we've got Scott Riley, designer, doing a design course called Mindful Design.
Wow.
He's had the book for a couple of years, yeah.
Nice.
And he's doing a video course. So like these two, obviously like really good friends of mine. So like first publish other people's courses is like, I need them to be people that I trust and people that trust us also, because like we're still finding a process that works, right? But we're trying not to make it too clinical also. It's like you publish in your own voice, like you are you, because like both Matt and I can attest, like you write for a very large corporate doing a course, they have to do it in their voice, and that is hard, like that is the hardest part. So it's like, no, you are you, so you write in your voice, you do whatever you need to do, and then like I'm going to come in and like edit them and support them through the production of the course, and then we provide all the infrastructure that goes with it and the marketing and everything else. So like it's a real nice setup, and then the hope is that we just keep doubling and doubling every year, and more courses, and like really try and build this thing up to hopefully help more people build good stuff. But we've always got that underlying pragmatism. Like our whole deal with Piccalilli is like front end that you can apply to your day job, So like whenever I talk to guest authors, it's like, if a user can read this and then be like, I can apply this to my job, and I feel like I've learned something that's nice. Really tangible, then that's what we want to be publishing. Less so like, check out this cool feature that's coming in 2028. It's like, no, this stuff you can do like near enough now, And I think that's it. We've created a lane for ourselves. I think that
it's funny because it can be easier to write about the new stuff because I don't know, because it gets your own brain going really easy. It's harder to be like, I don't know. Let's look at some ways to use float or whatever. That like I don't know. Float has been in my brain for 20 years, and I don't know that I have a lot to say about it at the moment. Like maybe, but it hasn't been for everyone. So there might be stuff there.
So yeah,
well, even like a grid course or something would be tough, right? Like just like grid, like but it's like what 10% or something of sites use grid. Maybe it's 20. It's like chronically
I always questioned that crap though, because it was like, TypeScript's on, or Flexbox is on 80% of the web and Grid's only on 20, and you're like, that's because WordPress ships with some Flexbox stuff for their columns that's, whether people use it or not, is in every style sheet that WordPress ships, and that's why. So it doesn't reflect like people's typed stuff. It's almost like you need the private GitHub repos of sites shipped in the last year. Show me that. And then let's see. And it'll be 50-50 or whatever,
Right.
I've got an article going out tomorrow about grid versus Flex, I guess.
Whoa, really?
Nice.
You're going to touch that. Cool.
I guess what the end product of that is. It's use what works. If it works, it's right. I like to paraphrase Rich Landry a lot with that one, because I think people look for absolutes, And basically what I say in the article is, do you want complete control or perceived complete control? Then choose grid and choose media queries. Do you want the browser to do work for you? And do you want to sort of do like composable algorithmic layouts? Then Flexbox is really good at that. Do you want to meet in the middle, which is where we are, like do a lot of the stuff with the Flexbox, and then where you really need the controls, then take grid and use grid. And that's exactly how we like built Piccalilli. Like the header on Piccalilli is just nuts. So it's like we can't build that with Flexbox, so we built that with grid. And it's just like picking the right tool for the job. So like if it's 2-dimensional layout, grid.
You'll just get this feel for it eventually, you know.
Exactly.
I feel like the header is the classic Flexbox one, because you're like, there's chunks of stuff in a header. I have no idea what size those columns are going to be.
Push them away from each other.
Yeah, I just need to control how they squish and push. That's Flexbox territory. But if you want an answer, the answer is grid, because it's better.
Yeah.
I don't know, not really, but yeah, it's of course it's both. But yeah, very interesting stuff. I can't wait to read the article. I'm sure you'll make salient points about the differences.
Well, I've certainly tried, but yeah, it's nice to. I've been trying to work out recently, like what can I even write about? I don't know, like other writers might struggle with this. Like you do a big body of work, and then it's like you feel like you have to then do big articles, you know, like big, long, complicated articles. I was like, no, actually, my strength is more in shorter, snappier stuff, and then pay writers to write the big ones that you know they're full of like ideas and full of knowledge. And I tend to now just do the newsletter and like link posts and stuff, and then occasionally I'll drop in with an article. But like it feels good to do it like that, to be honest. And then when I do have a good idea, it's actually like it's worth writing.
I'm very much the same. I prefer the one paragraph article.
Chris Coyier special on CSS tricks back in the day. Yeah, be a little bang. And you're like, he did that.
I still try to do it wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I got into the opposite habit where it's like, I think every article should be like a magnum opus. Like 72 different ideas coming together, laying in all those planes all at once. And it's been a challenge to be like, how about 3 to 5 paragraphs, Dave? Like maybe that's a cool way to blog, and they would actually go out in less than 5 years. And it's been a challenge. So
put yourself on a word count budget is my advice for people.
Yeah, like well,
1,000 words. Yeah,
they have that in Obsidian. Like they have like these little writing goals things, you know, and like you can be like, there's a whole plugin for it, but it's like you know, just like you set your word limit and then you just try to write it. And so, yeah, no, I kind of like, I think that's I sort of wondered, you know, it's that thing. It's like, what is the answer? Like, what's the perfect blog post length, right? Like, what is it? 1,000 words, let's say. And then, okay, now that I know that, B, do I even want to play that game? You know, where you're like trying to optimize content for whoever, you know. I swing heavy on that. So, yeah.
My rule on it, well, it's not a rule, it's like my sort of thinking about putting a budget on it is like, if I'm going over 1,000 words, like, am I being concise enough? And am I covering too much? Like, am I trying to explain too much? Like, is there a link I can link out to that'll explain this particular concept here? You know, and I'm a big fan of doing that because people are cleverer than me. So it's like, I found this article and it explains stuff really well. So go and read this if you don't understand what I'm talking about, and then come back. And it sort of keeps the levels going for everyone then. So someone does know they can scan through it. If someone doesn't know, they can use it like a navigation, I guess, to like learn things. Like, and he's like, okay, well, this is a recommended post, so I'm going to read it because obviously it's good. So that's how I see it. And I find myself explaining things less and less that are on the periphery of what I'm talking about. And then it's like, no, I'll focus. All the code samples are on this one little thing, you know, and that's, yeah, it sort of helps. And it keeps, like, if I can't draft it in a morning, I can't publish it. I can't keep a draft like running for a long time. Like, it has to be drafted and then ready to edit within a few hours of like planning an outline for it. So
Man, you just need some cold, hard ADHD stamina, which lets these fester for years. You just, yeah.
It can be tricky
down.
with, because you can always expand when it comes to tech, there's all these things that you have to make choices on. You're like, okay, when and where am I going to talk about browser compatibility? And it can be a publication level thing. Like at Piccalilli, you could just be like, oh, we're not going to do that in the body of the post. We're only going to put it at the bottom in charts or something. I don't, that's not, I'm saying that's a theoretical choice you could make. Or you could be like, we're only going to use the baseline widgets and we're going to sprinkle them in wherever or something like that. But it's also tempting to be like, well, that can get in the way too. Every post is just, types out a paragraph explaining, as I write, the browser support for this feature. But it's like, that can be nice too, because that means you can put it somewhere in the article that feels like a natural place to explain it. And sometimes that's useful because sometimes features are progressive enhancement a bull. And if you didn't explain that with words, it could get lost if all you ever did was put a chart in. It's always tricky stuff like that. And I mention that because it's talking about length. It's hard to just be like, look at this new cool scope feature. That's too light usually because it could be so little browser support that it kind of doesn't matter. So if you're trying to get somebody to read and care about your publication and you're not giving them important context, you're not doing a very good job as a publication.
Yeah. There's a lot. The whole thing for me is like, I can't recommend something to someone unless I've battle tested it in the real world, right? So, like some of the newer CSS stuff, like I imagine people think, I wish Piccalilli would publish more about like the latest, greatest feature, and we sort of do that with the links. Like Adam Argyle posted about the CSS carousels the other day. It's like, yeah, go and check this out.
Oh my God, did you see that?
It's cool, yeah, it's really cool. But it's
There's like, 3 of the 4 features are totally theoretical.
Yeah, and it's so bleeding edge, and it's like, well, I can't, with all honesty, recommend anyone does that until like I've used it in a project, right, or used it in a client project. So that's like one of the sort of guarantees we got on Piccalilli is like anything that's written by us, especially like me or anyone in the team, like it's been tested, it's been battle tested, like this approach, it's been used on a big project, and it works, and that's, I like to stay in that. I say right at the end of the course, there's in the last lesson, in the wrapping up, it's like, why haven't you done layers and why haven't you done scope and why, and it's like, because we didn't need to. Like the way that we've architected the CSS, it just wasn't required. Like we've used the cascade, we've used specificity, we've done things in a really sort of sensible manner, and it's quite a simple page. Sure, like it's all about like finding the use for these things and then using them for that use. And I feel like people feel like they have to use every new thing that CSS comes up with, but CSS so much stuff is coming now. You don't, you really don't, and that's it. And so I like to sort of report on that new stuff, I guess, but there'll be a long time before I'm writing an article on Piccalilli about using the carousel stuff in CSS, because I want to see that thing working in a real project, not like a hypothetical demo. Yeah.
Like, oh, you could have wrote this as scope.
Yeah.
Carousel. Dude, don't you read new stuff?
I did one about, about nesting recently, and it got some of the fellas upset, and it was like this is the thing that I've been waiting for, so I don't have to do SAS anymore. And it's just like, well, okay, well, I've used nesting, like I was all in on BEM years ago, and nesting was really useful in SAS in those days, but the code base gets pretty gnarly pretty quick, unless you set yourself some sort of like limits. Like if you're 5-6 levels deep, you're in trouble, because the CSS that's getting generated from that is bad. And then with like native CSS nesting, there's specificity issues that can come with it, because it basically generates, is it a is or a not or something behind the scenes. So you're adding points where you don't want to add them. So it's like handle with care is basically what I'm saying with it. It's like it's a cool feature for sure, but make sure you can understand your own code also when you come back to it in 6 months, which you won't, unless it's use documentation, etc. But this carousel thing looks good. What I like about this carousel thing, that's what I mentioned in the link, was they've actually built it with an accessibility team, which is just so refreshing to see, like
novel web standard idea there, but
yeah, because we've had a few bad ones, haven't we?
A few false starts.
Years. Yeah, like the original detail summary was pretty yikes on that front.
Dialogue took about
8
years to fix. So yeah,
and it reduces trust. Where this sort of thing is increasing trust again, I think. So that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the use of pseudo elements. I think it's nice.
I didn't realize it was as specced out as it was. I mean, they're just draft specs, but it's surprising to me. If you haven't seen this thing, it's like, it's not, because you think of, a carousel, it'll use scroll snapping. Oh, neat. Yeah, totally does. So you can do that today. In fact, go to Set Studio and look, they're using a bunch of scroll snapping. It looks great. But everything else is like, what the heck is that? So there's this pseudo element called scroll button, which just plops a pseudo element on the page that when clicked scrolls the area exactly one page forward, depending on its width. I was like, that's not real. What the hell is that? But then apparently it is real. There's some draft spec, which draft specs, anybody can write a draft spec, right? So I don't, but the fact that this is coming from Adam and Google team and stuff means it, and literally works in Chrome Canary. So this is a lot further along than it seems to be. But yeah, there is, if this is the first time you've seen : scroll button, you would be forgiven, like this is brand new stuff. Scroll marker group is a totally different thing. It puts those little buttons below the carousel that are also have literal click functionality that you click and then it behaves like scroll button and it moves to that particular page of the scroller, but you don't have to say how many there are. You don't have to wire them up to do anything. It's like amazing how, like what? We're getting that? That's crazy. And then this, we have inert in HTML, but we don't have an inert in CSS yet, right? So I think there's this, is part of it is interactivity inert, meaning, let's say you have 15 slides, but only 3 of them are visible. That means all the ones that aren't visible should be inert, because you don't want to be pressing the tab key and going through something that can't be seen, or at least that's a possible, you might want that. Now you can do that in CSS, but here it's being applied through a scroll-driven animation timeline. That's how it knows it's not visible, is when the timeline is at certain points. That's some mind-blowing stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't expect to be learning this in even a super modern CSS course. I mean, it wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah. Wouldn't, no. But there's nothing wrong with people writing articles saying this is how I use the new CSS carousel stuff. But if you've got a course called Complete CSS, that's like the whole thing is designed to be like, I'm going to make you a better front end developer. Like by the end of this course, like the whole strapline of the course is you won't be the same developer at the end of this course. And that's not, you won't be the same developer because I'm going to teach you all the fancy new stuff. It's like we're taking you from root to branch, like changing the way that you do everything. And then that in turn will make you write better CSS. And I think that's often forgotten with CSS is there's a lot of soft skills required to be a good CSS developer, and I think that's what sort of sets it apart from the other languages because of the nature of the way CSS works. Like you've got to have some sort of soft skills about you to understand the system behind the browser, right? So, yeah, yep.
CSS wants to be a system for sure. I'm going to pitch you a course called. Or in that, like, making you better, making you richer. Is that okay? Right. And, like, it's really just about only using the hot stuff and then getting a new job before the technical debt blows up. Oh, so that's like the whole, like, it's kind of like 50-50, raising your profile and then blasting out of companies.
It's just running an agency in it, Dev.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is my consultants. My new consultancy is just basically
Yeah. All right.
hot drop new tech and leave.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the title
course
of my book. Yeah. Hot drop new tech and leave.
Nice. My course will be How to Just Barely Scrape By as a Person and Developer by Chris Coyier. I'll give you all the hottest tips for just riding that line.
Yeah.
A Lifetime original movie.
Yeah. Like a wild animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting
by.
Something hard happened today. Just cry about it for a little bit and then figure it out.
Once 2 beers. Yeah.
Turn your camera off, cry, and then just I don't know, eat a sandwich, eat your feelings.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Serotonin's made in the gut, and that's a great place to get happy.
Right.
Maybe I need to open an ebook arm to the publisher just to service these 2 ideas. Yeah. $9.99 ebook.
Yeah.
Call it Mediocre Press.
Slot press. Yeah.
Slot press. Oh man, we could be blasting out books.
I know.
We
this
could
is
Well, we
probably
do
by
record
this
the
afternoon.
podcast. Let's get on this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we probably need to finish these books over the weekend before this episode.
Yeah,
goes
before
out,
it goes live. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Glad to be in business here, so we'll have to make it happen. Andy, I guess we'll have to cut it off here. But for people who aren't following you and giving you money, how can they do that?
So the best place to follow me is on my website. So bell.bz, and that's got links to everywhere where I actually am. I try and stay mainly on Blue Sky now, not because I'm Blue Sky's better. I just can't be bothered with the multiple network thing. And then buy my course. I've got a coupon code for Shop Talk still going. That's 20% off. So
Nice.
Shop Talk all caps. Then should be good to go. Let me know if that doesn't work. But yeah, that's about it really. Just read blogs and stuff and make cool things.
Ching-ka-ching. And subscribe to Piccalilli, best yellow in the business. And so thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And thank you, dear listener, for downloading this in your podcatcher of choice. Be sure to shard it up. That's how people find out about the show. Follow us on Mastodon, Blue Sky, or YouTube now. That's the thing we do. Join us in the Discord, patreon.com/Shop Talk Show, where you can use the sad Andy emote, the premium tier sad Andy emote. So, all right, Chris, you got anything else you'd like to say?
Fantastic. ShopTalkShow.com.